Hello! One important thing that I want you to try to do every day is review your flashcards. We've learned how to do the flashcards using the Skips alphabet method. So I'm going to review it real quick. You should have this guide card that helps you remember where the guide notes are in bass clef and treble clef. Remember, the F is a space note and the G is a line note. In the bass clef, the F is below the staff, whereas in the treble clef, the F is the first space. And in the bass clef, the G is the first line, whereas in treble clef, the G is the second line. You can remember that G because see how it lines up with the swirly part of the treble clef? The treble clef is also known as the G clef because it indicates where G is. So when you see your flashcard, you want to think about using your guide notes to help you figure it out. So I'm going to show you a couple. Let's say this is the flashcard that you had. For this one, we're going to use our guide note G in the bass clef. Remember, we spell face and then GBD. So if you start with G, you'd say G, B, D. Then you start over with spelling face. F, A, C, don't forget middle C, E. So the answer for this one would be E because this one is after the middle C, so it'd be E. Now another way you could figure this one out is if you use your G, your guide note in the treble clef, the second line G, and you just think backwards. You have to think in your Skips alphabet though, so F-A-C-E-G-B-D, F-A-C-E-G-B-D, F-A-C-E-G-B-D. What came before G? It's E, F-A-C-E-G-B-D, so you know that this one is E. Let's figure out a space one. This is my bass clef. Spaces. Remember, the guide note I'm going to use is the F that lives below the staff. And I'm going to start with that F and I'm going to use my Skips alphabet. F, A, C, E, G. So this is a G. I'll do two more. How about we do a bass clef line? So here we have our lines in the bass clef. Remember the line 1 of the bass clef staff is G. So I think about my Skips alphabet starting with GBD, G, B, D, then start over again, F. So there, this one is F. One more together we're going to do is a treble clef space one. Let's see if I can find one here. So for the treble clef spaces, we're going to want to start with our guide note F. The first space is F, so we spell our Skips alphabet starting with F, F, A, C. So this one would be C. There's a few that don't fit as well. You kind of have to remember them. Middle C, remember, middle C can show up as a treble clef note right here, or it can also show up as a bass clef note. That's middle C. These are both the same. They would have the same answer and would be played the same place on the piano, middle C. And then you have the ones that kind of live in the space on the outskirts of the staff. So this one here for treble clef, you can figure it out a couple of different ways. You could use your bass clef spaces, start with your F at the bottom here, F, A, C, E, G, B. You have to remember there's one right here, so that would be B, and then that would make this one D. That's a little bit of a trick. You could also use your treble clef, F, and just think backwards again. What comes before F in the Skips alphabet? D does. So this is a D. You have the same, I think the other one is a little easier. This one here, you just use your spaces, Skips alphabet, starting with that bass F. F, A, C, E, G, B. So that one's B. Another one that's not too tricky is your treble clef outlier above the staff here. Again, remember, treble clef first space is F. So you just go F, A, C, E, G. Now, hopefully you have your flashcards and you can do them yourself at home. If it's hard for you to do them all, you can do it two ways. Set a timer and work on flashcards for 1 minute, or you can do 8 each day. That'll get you through them in a week probably if you do 8 each day. Keep working on those flashcards. You want to get to the point where the flashcards are really easy for you and you start to recognize the notes without having to count ups and downs using the Skips alphabet. Have fun!